23, 13, 22, 47. Broadcast. A Haunted Manor. Rules for new cast members.
The Haunted Manor. Rules for new cast members. As recorded by the Society of Virtuous Pagans. By Faceless Sphinx.
Welcome to your first day at the Haunted Manor. We're thrilled to have you as a member of the cast. Since it was opened at the resort in 1969, the Haunted Manor has served up spooks, chills, and a side of smiles for visitors of all ages, blending our founders' unique love for Gothic and Victorian horror with a modern aesthetic designed to be a haunted house for everybody. The selection of the house was absolutely perfect for the role. Its design was based on one of the most infamous haunted manor houses in all of Europe, maybe the most haunted manor house in Western Europe and Great Britain, period. You'll be working with us as a butler or house matron, guiding our visitors through the extensively detailed manor before they board our signature Spook lounges, assisting them as they exit and providing help along the way for both cast and visitors for the entirety of your shift. Please remember that your main goal here is to make the experience as realistic but as comfortable as possible. We aren't here to frighten anyone away. We're here to make them smile and see the real beauty in an ancient house filled with ghost stories. Remember, spooky and creepy is fine, but terrifying is a no-no. Now that that is out of the way, you should be aware that this document contains some procedures that did not appear in the regular park operations manual. That is to be expected, and in fact, it's true of all of our attractions. If you have worked on another attraction at some point, it's likely that this will be old hat, but for the rest of you, please be assured that these rules are intended to keep things running smoothly and safely for yourself and your fellow employees during your time at work. If you follow these basic procedures, we think you'll find that this is one of the best jobs you could possibly have working in the amusements industry. We can't guarantee that every day will be perfect, after all, what job is, but we hope that you'll be smiling just as much as our visitors on a typical day, and that you stay with us for a long, long time. So let's begin. Please note that these procedures must be followed strictly to the letter. If for any reason they are not followed, and you're made aware of this, please hit the orange button available on all ride control consoles and located at each entry and exit point. Number 1. Entrances. As you'll have noticed, the Haunted Manor features 3 main entries and 2 dedicated exits. The entries are located at south, west, and eastern sides of the manor. The exits are located northeast and northwest. The southern entrance is not to be used for any purposes during regular operational hours. At no time should any guests enter the ride via the south door, nor should any cast members, even in the case of emergencies without specific instructions from cast management, make use of the south entrance for any purposes. It may, however, be used as an exit under these emergency circumstances. The south entrance will normally be locked. However, if it is found to be open, unlocked, or accessible for any reason, you are to press the nearest orange button. Security personnel will arrive shortly and ensure that the doors are properly locked and fastened. Please do not attempt to do so yourself.
SVP Incident Report 12/01/93. According to internal documentation, 3 guests, A. Jackson, R. Bunyan, and L. Bunyan, enter the south entrance, apparently unlocked, at around 1:30 p.m. At 1:32 p.m., Jackson and the 2 Bunyans exit the Fantastic Race attraction, an approximately 10-minute walk from the Haunted Manor. Whilst security footage of the incident itself has been lost, detailed security logs describe questioning of the 3 guests on the pretext of randomly selected guest safety check. All 3 guests insist that they did not enter the Haunted Manor. Each guest, instead, says that they entered the Fantastic Race, only to take a wrong turn when queuing and end up leaving through one of the exits instead. They are deeply disappointed by this, and believe that they might have triggered an emergency exit feature. Security personnel assure them that they have done nothing wrong and that this is merely a random safety check. Of note, R. Bunyan states that he does not like horror-themed attractions, and in fact has a slight phobia of haunted houses. In separate questioning, L. Bunyan, his spouse, denies that she is aware of her husband's phobias and expresses some surprise at his statement. On Thursday, 2nd December, the Bunyans enter the park again around 3:30 p.m. They are again seen on camera entering the Haunted Manor attraction, this time via the eastern exit. No further incidents with the guests are recorded. However, R. Bunyan informs a cast member that he loves haunted and mild horror-themed rides, and regards the Haunted Manor as one of his, quote, happy places, end quote. When asked about a potential phobia by a survey taker, he identifies none.
Number 2. Guest pathways. There are 2 major pathways for guest access once they enter the manor. These are marked with green and purple carpet runners. The green path runs into the study, and the purple path runs into the solarium. Museum barriers, velvet ropes, have been established along these runners to protect some of the more fragile elements of our immersive atmosphere. Guests may be admitted as deemed safely along these paths. However, beyond the foyer, all guests must move through the manor via the green pathway. Guests using wheelchairs and other mobility devices must use the green elevators located along that pathway. Guests must not, at any time, use the purple pathway or purple elevators. Whilst the ride does pass by the northern doors for the solarium, once the guests have been loaded, no guest should be loaded or unloaded in the solarium at any time under any circumstances.
SVP Incident Report 9/12/77. Guests P. Gallagher, J. Fauntleroy, and Q. West enter the Haunted Manor via normal means at 10:30 a.m. They are directed by a cast member along the purple pathway and are clearly seen on security footage entering the solarium from the purple pathway. Footage from inside the solarium, however, depicts no guests. During the day, 4 different individuals, 2 of them staff members enjoying the attraction whilst off the clock, report seeing Gallagher, Fauntleroy, and West waiting to board whilst their spook lounges pass the position on way to the first stop in the attraction. The guests do not appear again until 13:12, when they report that they have, quote, somehow gotten themselves lost, end quote, inside the manor. Guest West says that she feels as if she has been, quote, inside the manor all day, end quote, and is fearful that she's, quote, wasted a whole day of my holiday, end quote. Society investigation confirms that all 3 guests entered on 9/12/77 and did not exit until 13/12/77. Further, Physics Section has confirmed from Park First Responder records that there is no evidence guests Gallagher, Fauntleroy, and West were deprived of significant quantities of food, water, or sleep consistent with having been lost for 4 days. At most, they complain to cast members that they are hungry and have missed their lunch reservations and plans. Update 2012-77. Cast member who directed guests to Purple Path has been identified as individual is normally full-time at the Fantastic Dragons attraction and was transferred for 8/12 and 9/12 to cover a small shortage in staff.
Number 3. Once guests have taken their tour of the manor and entered the study, please load them into the Spook lounges. As you'll have noticed, these Spook lounges take the form of Victorian horsehair sofas and couches, albeit far more comfortable, and of course with the addition of the rather anachronistic safety restraints we provide on all of our moving attractions. Spook lounges are designed to accommodate up to 4 individuals, adults or children. A third of these have been designed to accommodate guests with wheelchairs or similar mobility devices, and these too will accommodate up to 4. While solo riders and couples are welcome and should be accommodated whenever possible, no more than 3 individuals may be loaded into each lounge. Please, keep an eye on each lounge using the camera stations convenient to your position in the manor. If more than 3 individuals are spotted in a spook lounge at any time, immediately press the nearest orange button and activate Emergency Stop. Note that this will occur most commonly in the final stages of the ride, between the time that the spook lounges enter the greenhouse and exit at the gardener's hut.
SVP Incident Report 12-10-87. At 8:50 p.m., guests A. Brown, A. Mitchell, and Y. Schneider are located aboard Spook Lounge 18, one of the spook lounges designed to accommodate wheelchair users. Whilst Spook Lounge 18 is normally reserved for wheelchair user priority, the park is overwhelmed with guests for an anniversary celebration, and 18 is used to load non-wheelchair users when no other option is available. As the ride exits at the gardener's hut at 9:15 p.m., 4 individuals are clearly identified aboard Spook Lounge 18. Braun, Mitchell, Schneider, and an unknown juvenile, designated UNK 86-2. Proper procedures are not followed, and UNK 86-2 offloads from the spook lounger and enters the park without the apparent concern or knowledge of Braun, Mitchell, and Schneider. None of these guests are related to or familiar with each other, and all claim that UNK 86-2 was a child or sibling of one of the other adults aboard Spook Lounge 18. UNK 86-2 disappears near the Cavalcade of Progress attraction. We now believe this individual is responsible for the minor cascade event experienced at that attraction at 8:30 a.m. on 21/10/87. Addendum 1, dated 28/2/89. Interdiction lead.
As a court section will be aware, Interdiction section has identified SCP Foundation employees at work at the site of the anomalies since 1981. We are presently aware that employees have been compromised by links to the Foundation. On the 18th of this month, former cast member identified as the individual who failed to notify the park of Incident 142 was interviewed by Society personnel. Cast member admitted that they had been asked to voluntarily allow an incident of this type to occur by a charitable organization identifying itself as the Foundation for Senior and Child Protection, an organization dedicated to preventing child and elder abuse. The individuals who contacted cast member told him that they were conducting a study about how to prevent abductions of children from popular entertainment venues.
Note 1. SM 1311.
This is absolutely unacceptable. For the Foundation, it's a new low, even for them. These incidents can affect children.
Note 2. Director.
Agreed. Interdiction is to make it clear to our contacts in the Foundation that this is a clear violation of the Chicago Accords. We will act accordingly unless the Foundation immediately puts a stop to this activity.
Update 1. SM 1311.
Foundation has agreed to cease attempts to manipulate incidents at the Haunted Manor and has provided substantial research data gained from these efforts as part of the terms required by the Chicago Accords. Still an unreasonably shitty thing to do, even for them.
SVP Incident Report 27/2/99.
At 1:15 p.m., M. Gabor and C. Kashuth, a married couple, are loaded aboard Spook Lounge 9, a standard format spook lounge. As they pass through the greenhouse, a staff member identifies 2 additional unidentified guests, UNK 99-9, a juvenile, and UNK 99-10, an adult. Proper procedures are followed, the ride is halted, and security staff move to intercept. UNK 99-10 is contained with no significant difficulty. UNK 99-9, however, proves to be a more difficult matter. Guests Gabor and Kashuth insist that UNK 99-9 is their child. Note that Gabor and Kashuth had no children at the time of writing this report. Cast apologizes for the misunderstanding, and they are escorted to Parks Administration Customer Service Department. STG Yorick applies amnestic treatments, successfully preventing further contamination. UNK 99-9 is contained voluntarily and returned to the Haunted Manor. Complains that they were, quote, lonely and looking for a bit of fun outside this dreary old place, end quote. Number 4. Just under halfway through the ride, each Spook Lounge will pass through the feature called Lord Rumblety's Room. You cannot miss Lord Rumblety. He's the figure displayed in the haunted portrait, wearing a green frock coat lined in black. All camera monitoring stations have access to cameras displaying Lord Rumblety's room. Pay particularly close attention to Lord Rumblety's portrait. Rarely, an incident will occur requiring your immediate action. Please follow the bullet points below based upon the incident observed. Be forewarned that emergency lighting is not reliable in this portion of the ride. You will need to manually switch on emergency lighting whenever a circumstance necessitates it based upon events in Lord Rumblety's room. A. Standard safety issue. Fire, electrical hazard, etc. Follow the normal procedures. B. Electrical failure or outage in Lord Rumblety's room. Number 1. Hit the emergency stop button on any ride console and then ensure emergency lights have been switched on. Number 2. Press the orange button on the console. Number 3. Move swiftly, calmly, and carefully to Lord Rumblety's room using the nearest staff access point. Number 4. Calmly assist guests in exiting all Spook Lounges located in Lord Rumblety's room and lead them to the nearest emergency exit from the manor, offering them return vouchers for the next calendar day. Number 5. Switch on house lighting in Lord Rumblety's room using one of the ride consoles. Number 6. Wait 10 minutes. Number 7. Switch off house lighting in Lord Rumblety's room. Number 8. Ensure emergency lighting has been deactivated. And number 9. Begin normal procedures once again. C. An adult male wearing a coat in green with black trim is spotted on camera aboard any Spook Lounge whilst traveling through or exiting Lord Rumblety's room before the staircase descends. Number 1. Hit the emergency stop button on any ride console. Then ensure that emergency lights have been switched on. Number 2. Press the orange button on the console. Number 3. Proceed with full manor evacuation, looking to safely assist guests in exiting first, followed by a cast. No cast should remain within the Haunted Manor at this time. Number 4. If this type of incident occurs between the months of April and June after 6 p.m. local time, then the Haunted Manor must be closed for the day. Alert security, followed by staff management. Both are aware of the situation. You will never be punished for following procedure. Number 5. In other instances, the Haunted Manor should remain closed for 1 full hour, that is 60 minutes, before it is opened again.
SVP Incident Report 5670. At approximately 6 p.m., cast member identifies Category C Rumblety Room incident when an individual dressed in a quote-unquote modern cut trench coat in green and black is clearly seen exiting Rumbletee's room aboard Spook Lounge 3 as a single rider. Although no formal procedure has yet been established, cast member, later SM646, hits the emergency stop button and contacts security. Spook Lounge 3, previously loaded by SM646, held 3 guests at the start of the ride. These were loaded by cast member before they rotated to new position. Otherwise, it is likely the incident might have gone unnoticed until it was too late, as this is only the 3rd incident of its kind reported since opening of the Haunted Manor in the previous year. Evacuation is initiated. On 6670, a guest is found barricaded in an incomplete cast restroom near the Haunted Manor's west exit. The guest was one of the 3 loaded aboard Spook Lounge 3 on 5670. They claim that a cast member identifying themselves as George asked them and fellow guests to leave Spook Lounge 3 due to, in George's exact words, quote, a possible incident with an escaped convict, end quote. While they lose track of the other 2 guests who panic and attempt to exit toward the stairs, guest reports that George escorted them to the unfinished bathroom and instructed them to barricade the door and await the arrival of cast security. George seemed genuinely concerned for their welfare, and the guest believes they probably saved their lives. The other 2 guests remain missing at time of most recent update, October 2025. This incident helped to allow the Society to draft a proper procedure for park administrators in the event of Category C Rumbletee Room incidents. Update 8670, SM 3019.
I can confirm that no cast members with a first name, surname, or cognomen George are linked to the attraction at the present time, nor were there any staff from the park with that name operating in the area.
Note 22, SM 428.
Can anyone explain to me why the full shutdown is required between May and June?
Note 23, SM 428.
Comment deleted.
Note 24, STG Yorick lead.
Incidents involving disappearances with regards to Category C Rumbletees increased by 25 to 50% during these periods. Of the 8 individuals who have gone missing as a result of this type of incident, the 4 individuals not since found went missing during this period. So, heightened risk, essentially. A few theories as to why. Suggest you speak to 977 in a court. He has some theories.
SVP Incident Report 9-14-14. Cast member identifies a Category B Rumbletee Room incident. All procedures safely followed. Owing to difficulty in assisting a wheelchair user in Spook Lounge 7, an electric motor in the guest wheelchair has unexpectedly failed. Evacuation of Full Manor is delayed by 15 minutes. No additional security risks are reported. An excellent example of cast coordination. Note 223-1, SM 1202.
Can we confirm that the incident with the guest wheelchair was not caused by a known anomaly in the Rumbletee's room?
Note 223-2, STG Yorick lead.
No, Doctor. I regret to inform you that we cannot at present. The investigation is ongoing.
Update 4/27/2015, STG Yorick lead.
At this time, we have been unable to demonstrate significant reason to believe the breakdown in the guest chair was non-anomalous. The chair was brand new, in excellent service, and very well maintained by the user and his nurse assistant. We must therefore conclude that the incident was, in fact, caused by the Rumbletee Room anomaly in some fashion.
SVP Incident Report 2873. 12 a.m. Guest M. Bishram, a Platinum Founder-level guest, is permitted to tour the library in the company of guest J. Carlyle, their paternal grandfather. Bishram handles several volumes, including English Nobility, Their Titles and Accomplishments, Volume R2, The Regency Period in English Law, and A Revolution in Botanical Studies, Private Botanical Gardens in European Manor Houses, 1700 to 1850. At 12:45 a.m., guest Carlyle leaves the library and proceeds to exit to access toilet facilities. Bishram remains in the library until 1 a.m. At 4 p.m. on 21/8/73, guest Bishram suffers significant health incident whilst touring the park. Guest is evacuated to hospital. Bloodstream found to show quantities of a toxin found in the African flower. Species was commonly cultivated in so-called poison gardens of the Regency and Victorian periods. Cultivation outlawed in the United Kingdom, 1890. Guest survives but suffers permanent blindness in the left eye and the necessitated amputation of the dominant left hand. SVP Incident Report 19/1/2020. Guest A. Heshish, a rare book collector and friend of the Society, asked to tour the Haunted Manor Library on a silver after-hours pass. They are escorted to the library at 11:45 p.m. Heshish discovers that 3 volumes and are Category Gamma level text. The Society is immediately informed. Archives section recovers the texts with no further incident. Note 2, SM4102.
Is there any idea how they acquired these volumes?
Note 3. Archives Lead.
The owners of the original manor were collectors of rare books, all kinds and all periods. However, this is the first time any of these books have been identified in any collection related to that family. In all honesty, not a clue. I've asked the cult to have a closer look owing to that last volume, which also appears in the Stewart collection.
Note 5. Occult Lead. Honestly, until this recovery, we believe that all copies have been accounted for. Shondor confirmed that during our consult, so I can only assume that. SVP Incident Report
22/1/20. Guest K. Von Saar was offered an after-hours pass and a tour of the library by a cast member identifying themselves as John Philpin. No individual with that name is presently employed by the park.
Number 6. The Haunted Manor does not feature the following attractions. Please dissuade your guests of the notion that any of the following are seen in any portion of the manor: the Bewitched Priest, the Duelists, the Yellow King. If guests ask questions about any of these features, you are to deny that they exist. If the guest insists upon showing you proof, politely decline to see that proof with a photograph, sketch, pointing to a camera monitor, etc. Remind the guest that the ride is old, and that the manor it is based upon is even older, and that there are many legends of both that can become confused with each other, especially in the age of the internet. It is quite possible, after all, that they mistook one thing for another.
SVP Incident Report 22/1/21. At approximately 3:30 p.m., guest J.A. Brown and juvenile guest 94 approach ride supervisor Bowen to compliment him on the quality of the new additions to the attraction. Bowen reports that both were visibly moved and that the juvenile guest was crying. Brown explained to Bowen that the new sad priest was a moving, progressive, and insightful addition to the Haunted Manor. Brown, who works at world-renowned US-based resort as a ride engineer, additionally added that they had never seen such a sophisticated combination of animatronics and special lighting effects. Quote, "We are frankly nowhere near that level. I don't know how you did it, but we both thought it was amazing." End quote. When Bowen asked why juvenile guest number 94 was crying, 94 was simply hoping the nice, sad priest would find his way home one day. They informed Brown that the tears were, quote, "sad tears, but in a good way," end quote. Bowen listens politely and then informs the guests that they are aware of no new additions to the attraction, and that they were not at present aware of any overt depictions of priests within the attraction. Brown is apparently satisfied by this, saying that they guessed it was probably a soft opening for a new addition to the ride, and that they know that Bowen can't possibly have the clearance to comment on something, quote, "like this," end quote, prior to official announcements. Bowen reports that he chose to lean into that logic and continued to play the dutiful employee card. SVP Incident Report 10-10-22. At noon, a newly married couple, guests Jay and A. Gilliver, asked ride supervisor Bowen about the creepy Yellow King feature in the Haunted Manor. Bowen asked what they were describing. Guests describe and go on to say it is easily one of the most unsettling features they've ever seen in an attraction of the time. Quote, "I didn't believe that you guys would ever do anything like this." End quote. Mr. A. Gilliver said, "But, quote, I am all about it," end quote. Mr. J. Gilliver, however, was less enthusiastic. Quote, "It was creepy, but I don't think it's a good fit for the park. I know you can't tell them, park management, what to do, but I strongly feel as if this may be a step too far." End quote. Bowen has never heard of any such attraction, and they asked the guests to indicate where in the Haunted Manor the, quote, Yellow King, end quote, attraction could be found. Bowen was directed to the location of the present parlor on the first floor of the attraction. Bowen informed the Gillivers that they were unaware of any such addition. However, they would look carefully. This was insufficient for Mr. A. Gilliver, who proceeded to produce his phone and asked Bowen to, quote, "Have a look. Here it is, right here, mate. It's amazing," end quote. Bowen declined to look at the image and reminded the guests that park policies prohibited photography on board indoor attractions. After some grumbling about this, A. Gilliver continued to insist that Bowen should see the image. Bowen persisted in declining. Bowen reports that A. Gilliver threw up his hands in frustration, rolled his eyes, and slunk away. J. Gilliver apologized on behalf of his husband and informed Bowen that, quote, "I will delete the picture. He shouldn't have taken it anyway, and it's creepy. Do have a look. You should. It's really very creepy. Very unsettling." End quote. Bowen refused to look and found no such feature in the manor. Note 3, SM-902.
The Yellow King. Please tell me this isn't another one of these, Alex.
Note 4, Occult Lead.
There's no reason to panic yet. Every bit of our evidence suggests that the group isn't involved in anything within the park. Thank God. They tend to keep a wide berth from anything that might put children at risk. That, of course, doesn't make them good guys. Note 5, Director.
No, it most certainly does not.
Update 1. As of October 2025, the Yellow King feature has not been reported at the Haunted Manor. Suggest possible cross-contamination or cascade effect from another attraction.
Number 7. You will have been shown the location of the ride management room. Whilst few of these in the park are still used,
ours is still fully functional and may be used under certain circumstances. Each ride console features a triangular purple light. This light will normally not be lit. If for any reason the triangular purple light is illuminated, begin full ride evacuation procedure with the following changes. A. Once guests have been evacuated from the manor, staff should return to the manor, closing all entrances before retiring to the ride management room within 15 minutes of notification that the warning light has been illuminated. B. All ride entrances will automatically seal. This cannot be overridden. C. Lock the door to the ride management room. D. Press the orange button on the console. E. Manually switch off all camera feeds in the ride management room. F. Lower the blackout curtain above the observation portal. G. Do not respond to any attempts to communicate with the room for any reason. H. This is critical. Do not open the door or leave the room for any reason until the purple light on the ride control console begins a pattern of flashing off, then on, then off again.
SVP Incident Report 1781. At 5:30 p.m., cast members Nussbaum and Clarion are on duty during a low-volume day caused by inclement weather conditions. Haunted Manor attraction hosts 20 guests, with 12 of these entering the final stage of the attraction. Nussbaum notes that the triangular purple warning light has been illuminated and immediately initiates proper procedure. All guests are successfully evacuated, and Nussbaum and Clarion proceed to the ride management room. After locking the doors and initiating all procedures, Nussbaum and Clarion report that a series of footsteps can be heard traveling up and down the passageways adjacent to the ride management room. Nussbaum reports that it sounds like an army of children frolicking in the passageways. Clarion reports the, quote, smell of wet dog, end quote. Analysis of security footage shows no active entities between evacuation procedure and lockdown until the arrival of Special Task Group Yorick at 5:45 p.m. The all-clear signal is sent at 5:55 p.m., and no further incidents are reported. SVP Incident Report 22/5/23. 4:03 p.m. Cast lead O'Hara, cast members Nussbaum, Browning, and Coulter are on duty. Cast member Coulter notes the illumination of triangular purple warning light and informs fellow cast members. Cast lead O'Hara immediately initiates the evacuation procedure. Cast member Browning describes following events in an interview taken by Park Security Officer Vikander, monitored by Special Task Group Yorick.
We just received word that a purple triangle scenario was taking place. I've no idea what it was meant to signify, but something clearly did happen. At around 4:06, I was in the greenhouse, helping to evacuate guests. I'd say there were maybe 100 or so odd guests inside the structure at the time. We were able to get out most of the ones in queue without further difficulty, but there was an issue with one of the guests. Well, two of them.
How so?
Two men. Youngish middle-aged man, I'd say probably mid to late 40s, at oldest, and an elderly gentleman, probably in his late 70s. Don't know their names. Spook Lounge 14.
Those would be guests Grabichik and Wyland. Wyland's the older fellow.
Good to know. Well, Wyland, that fella, is much more mobile than Grabichik. Grabichik has a slight limp. He's slower, but he gave us no real issues. It was Wyland who was the problem.
How so?
He's just what we call ornery in the States. The guy didn't want to get out of the Spook Lounge. He said they'd waited in line all day and that he'd waited decades to do this ride, and he didn't want to get off only to go back again.
And you told him that he had to evacuate for safety reasons, right?
Oh yeah, of course. Absolutely.
told him, politely but firmly, that it wasn't up for debate. Grabichik tried to help. Weiland just didn't want to go. Weiland demanded to know why he couldn't just wait, and then he went on about how he used to be a safety officer. And if it was a fire or something, they'd have seen or heard an appropriate emergency signal. That's EU law, he insisted.
Fuck's sake.
Well, fortunately, O'Hara had experience as a cop and he was able to work them skills to get them moving. We got them out via the south gate, and that's where the problem really became a serious one.
Go on.
It was unreal. So we've got old Weiland out and Grabichik is in the threshold. We've got maybe 5-6 minutes to get to the ride management office, and Grabichik gets ready to leave. Then he sets foot on the flagstone outside, and then the crazy old son of a bitch turns and walks back in to lecture O'Hara.
He came in via the south gate? Oh, I'm so sorry, Harry.
Yes, he did. Look on O'Hara's face.
What next?
Grabichik, I think, he can see that look because he re-enters too, try to stop the old coot.
How did O'Hara respond?
Professionally, as you might expect of Marcel. But he did go a little pale. Look, I don't know what it is that causes that to happen when you enter that door, but it's never a good thing. We tried for the next 4 minutes to get them out of that building, but it's like they couldn't.
Couldn't? Or wouldn't?
Couldn't. Like inertia was stopping them. Grabichik was trying to pull the old man out of the building. He was embarrassed and he was frustrated. A little frightened too, I think. Weiland didn't seem to notice.
And that's when O'Hara instructed the rest of you to go ahead to the ride management office?
Yes. It was, I'd say, 4:13, maybe 4:14 p.m. No time to argue. He barked the order, so we rushed to the ride control room and locked up. Coulter, Nussbaum, and myself. Followed the regular procedure. Coulter was not happy about it. He did not want to be there. Nussbaum had been through this before and he tried to calm him. It was something of a struggle. Nussbaum was assistant cast lead at the time. He just retired from the full-fledged lead position, and he gave us our marching orders, so to speak.
How so?
He had Coulter switch off the camera feeds, had me double-check the lock and press the orange button, and make sure there's a first aid kit handy. There was.
And what did Nussbaum do?
He shut the blackout curtain.
What happened next?
Not much initially. Coulter thought we should go looking for O'Hara and the guests. Nussbaum talked him out of that, thank God. Around 5 o'clock, somebody walked down the passageway and knocked on the door. Twice. Very precise.
Any idea who it was?
They identified themselves as park security. Wanted to make sure we were all okay, they said. Asked us to unlock the door for them so they could check the control systems.
And of course you didn't, right?
I wanted to, Keely. Nussbaum refused, pointing out the handbook and procedure. Said that security would see us all fired if we didn't follow the rules, and he'd do the same to them.
And then?
They kept knocking. At first, they insisted they were security and that we had to open up, but they'd break it down if we didn't. Safety reasons. We got 2 guests lost in the manor. You must open up now, etc., etc. So Nussbaum, he says, if they need to get in, they can break it down. They do need to get in, but not for the reasons they say they do, and they can't break it down. So we just ignored him. I think by this time Coulter could tell something was off. He wasn't happy, but he didn't fight about it. They went away finally, but around 6 p.m. they came back knocking again. No talk this time, just weird knocking.
Define weird, please.
You'd have to hear it, I think. But it was off, like arrhythmic, as if somebody was trying to repeat a knock they'd heard but had lost patience to replicate properly. Just like discordant, I guess is the word. Does that make any sense?
Did it stop?
Nussbaum stood up, kicked the door as hard as he could without hurting himself, and told them to back the fuck away. So they did. Until they started knocking again, around 7 p.m. Couldn't do anything about it, though. Terrifying.
Why so terrifying?
Because, Kaylee, they were knocking on the outside of the portal. The other side of the blackout curtain. Easily 10 to 12 feet above the track the Spook lounges take. You'd have to have a decent ladder to climb up there and touch that window. There was no ladder. Around 7:15 or so, the knocking suddenly stopped. We heard a lot of scuffling in the passageway. Somebody was barking orders. Military orders to my mind, in a language I did not speak. Eastern European, maybe Hungarian. Didn't sound like any form of Slavic I ever heard. Mom was Bulgarian. There's a loud banging noise against the observation portal. Made us all jump. Then the all-clear signal came around, 7:24, 7:25.
Do you feel that O'Hara knew what he was doing?
Well, we can't ask him now. You know, of course, but they never found him. And they never found those guests. I can only assume that he did, though. He was a good man.
And the others?
We're not going to feel quite so normal again, I think. Not for a long time. Not ever. So far as I know, Coulter's already quit. Nussbaum's cast lead again, at least temporarily.
Do you feel unsafe? I can get a transfer for you if you do. It's not a problem.
No. That's kind of you, Kaylee. However, this is going to sound crazy maybe, but I actually feel very safe. I feel like the manor, especially that room, protected me from something. I followed its rules and it rewarded me. I know O'Hara was the real one that saved my life, but I feel a debt to that building itself. I'm just a bit creeped out I'll find something.
That you'll find something?
I have this fear that one of these days I'm going to be working a late shift, doing the basic wipe down before the janitors come in, and then I'm going to find them. The guests. O'Hara. And I don't think they'll be breathing.
Note 1. STG Yorick lead.
We responded to the incident around 6:30 p.m. Our teams were near the control office by 7:15. Full report is in STG Yorick 23313.
Note 2. Director.
Status of the victims.
Note 3. STG Yorick lead.
We did a full sweep again after closing. No sign of the victims. Not likely they'll show up again, at least not there, given previous patterns. Vikanda's one of ours, and she's following up on that eventuality. The Society will know as soon as I do.
Thank you for reading the Haunted Manor Cast Member Handbook. We can't wait to have you on board. We look forward to meeting you here at Worlds of Adventure Theme Park, located in... Have a fantastic day.
Have faith. We know.
82, 3, 49, 17. If you enjoy this broadcast, please do like and subscribe. Thank you.
Tonight's story was taken from the archives of the Society of Virtuous Pagans. It was written by Faceless Sphinx. Our players tonight included August Brotherton and Guinevere McGregor. Audio engineering by Creative Minds Audio. Thank you as always for listening. We look forward to speaking to you again.
Broadcast ends.